That's way if you see a AI picture, the person's face here.
I mean, I don't think it's terrible idea.
As well as. But if you keep
Well, I think we probably get it. Right.
We also and to October. We don't do anything in August, but we're just trying to reach out to the public so they can know about it. So.
Natural training, really functions.
Like that, you been? It's good to see you. You brought her down, you bribing our chairman. Is she bribing the chairman?
I saw that.
That's a bribe of the chairman. She don't know what she's a sucker or not. All you gotta do.
Whatever you want.
Another
And I'll just figure out.
She didn't have it, she usually has it.
I know it.
I'll be happy to share.
I'm gonna tell you, this will be the second from the day I
Oh, it's not.
Take out the paper down.
Mr. Skipper, thank you for taking time out for your training.
I gotta go back to it.
Understand.
That's twice in 2 days you've had to put up with me, Skinner.
He says it's not good enough.
It looks like it's not.
Don't ask me.
I'm gonna be back. Oh. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Today is Thursday, September 19th, and I'd like to call to order our meeting, and we're starting a little bit after 4. Well, we're right at 4, right at 4 o'clock. All right. So we need to call for approval of the minutes.
Madam Chair, before we do that, I would request that we add an item to the agenda
Yes, sir.
under number 3, new business, an item for Sunday voting. I so move.
Second.
Any opposed? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So approval of the minutes from August 15, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All right, and now comes to the time where you all can share with us We're at public comment time. Please limit your comments to 2 minutes. If anyone has any comments. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Angela Holmes, and I'm specifying that I am representing myself today, because y'all know somebody is group. But I do want to request the item that Mr. Allington was proposing. I'm requesting Sunday voting. With everyone trying to limit access, I think it's very, very important to come out in favor of expanding access and saying that we are going to give our citizens every single possible opportunity to get their vote in, because every single vote matters. So, thank you very much. That's it.
Anyone else?
I'm Dave Dickey, I'm also encouraging Sunday voting. If there is a problem with money, which is also always a problem, to perhaps consider maybe not having Monday voting and have Sunday voting to substitute and not spend any extra money, because I expect a lot more people in the last presidential election, 2020, voted on Sunday than on Monday. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
She said, ma'am, that would be.
You did the same. Oh, good afternoon. I apologize for being late. I hate being late because you missed the best part of the meeting, don't you? I fear that I missed something. Macon has traffic jams, y'all. It's amazing. Never thought I'd never. Anyway, good afternoon. I want to thank this board for all the work that you have put into, and it's very obvious to a lot of us, the work that you put into making sure that elections are fair and open and honest, and we citizens appreciate that. I would like to add my endorsement of Sunday voting. There are some community groups that are working to put together some special family type activities where people can leave service and they can get together and either motorcade to an early voting site, or there's a special kind of activity that they can be involved in. And then come and do what's gonna ensure family, the sanctity of family, and that is voting and making sure that we have maximum participation. So I would like to ask you to please consider voting in favor of that Sunday voting day, and we promised out here in the community that we will work very, very hard to have a good turnout and encourage everybody. I do still express my concern over signage or the lack thereof and the distance. I'm about out of breath. And I'm not in terrible shape, but I'm not in the best shape, but that is a long distance. And so anything that y'all can do to make sure that everybody has that access, because there are a lot of people that are like me, kind of in shape, kind of out of shape. So y'all please think about the citizens, but thank you again for all you do.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry, I saw a young gentleman in the back. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to plant the
Can you tell us your name, please?
Jason Stone.
Jason Jones?
Stone.
Okay.
It's actually JAYSTONE. Anyway, I just wanted to plant the seed about after this election, bringing the absentee ballots back into Georgia. I have tried calling Fort Orange printing in New York 4 times, and I can't seem to get a hold of them. They don't want to talk to me. And I just don't understand why, of all places, we had to send our absentee ballots to New York. There's Florida, there's Georgia, there's plenty here to keep the money inside our state. So I just wanted to plant the seeds. After this election is over, if you guys can try to reel it back in here, that would be great.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I want to echo pretty much what everyone else has said. First of all, how, we do recognize how hard the Board of Elections work and the staff that works here and how knowledgeable they are of everything that's going on. So that's always a good thing. I want to echo that we need Sunday voting. Am I correct that there are 2 available Sundays in this cycle? And, so if we have both of them, that would be wonderful. And another thing to think about is expanding the voting hours. If you can't have from 7 to, the early voting hours is what I mean. Instead of 8:30 to 5:30 early voting hours, if it could be 7 to 7 or 8:30 to 7, or at least a later hour to, for the people who work. Just consider that.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Marcus Beckham, Human Rights Campaign, but also citizen of Macon-Bibb. I'm myself a poll worker. I enjoy it. It's a thrill. Enjoys my life to be a part of the process of that nature. And I also want to stand in solidarity with Saturday and Sunday voting for our county. Obviously, it's, and so many people have echoed it here, that accessibility is what we need in this election. Transparency is what we need in this election. And I hope, as a strong board, as y'all know, going to voting and getting people involved. So hopefully y'all vote on this measure. It is across our great state. We're seeing other cities and counties take part in this, and I think Macon is also on the same track. It's a thing that we need here. So again, thank y'all for y'all time and what y'all do. It's truly appreciated.
Thank you.
Can I add something? I forgot to mention that my problem concerns the fact that my mom didn't get her absentee ballot for the primary until the day after. So I don't know how many others have that problem, so I just wanted to.
That's the reason they all problem.
Well, I understand, I'm just saying, if it was split, I just wanted to ask where it stems from, is that she didn't get hers on the primaries.
Thank you.
Kathy Appridge from Georgia Women. I want to echo the absentee ballots. I didn't get mine until after the primary. And I was told I couldn't vote. I had to come here to fill out paperwork. I would like to see more drop boxes and access to
Pardon? Speak to your legislature.
Thank you. Now, for the summary. I was gonna say, all business, oh, yes, ma'am.
My name is Gigi Cabell, and I would also like to add my voice to Sunday voting, extended hours. I think that, there are a lot of Georgia, Bibb voters who can't be here because they work hard. And every time our governor addresses the public, he talks about hardworking Georgians. And hardworking Georgians for our governor is one word, hardworking, all right? So, and he's absolutely right. People work hard. Some people have one job, some people have more than one job. And it's a hardship for them to get there if you're working 40 hours or 50 hours or Saturdays, or you have elder care responsibilities, child care responsibilities, or a special needs person. It is a hardship to get there during regular business hours or even on Saturdays. And if you don't have dependable or efficient transportation, that kind of eliminates your franchise. So I would be very happy if the board were to consider Sunday voting extended hours to make sure that all of us, all Bibb County voters have it. Thank you.
All right, so we'll close public comment at this time, but remember, there is a section at the end. Old business, first is a resolution for New Griswold Baptist Church. They were asking.
New Griswold
They were asking to.
request increase their fee.
Right.
And we did a survey And all what we pay is comparable to what they're being paid now. And I think that, I didn't know whether we had to have an action on this, except to say that,
I was wondering, I was wondering.
That was what we decided about.
I thought that's what we decided, did we not?
I thought we did.
Yeah.
But then I don't know if we did vote.
I'm not sure a vote,
No vote.
I don't think a vote was necessary, Mr. Nolan, do you?
If you just, say we don't have to make that decision right now.
And it's for next year anyway, so we can address it next year.
Madam Chair, I do think it's incumbent on us to make sure that we do have a replacement in place well before.
Well, before
Next.
next year,
This is for
2025.
2025. There will be an election.
We have 2024 taken care of.
Let's live through that.
A special update on the water authority and qualifications. I think we had one person.
Congratulations.
Ms. Congratulations, Water Commissioner Lucas.
Thank you. I did send a vote for myself.
That's the only vote you need. Just need one.
So we were able to get that. I think that's just a carryover of one of the things we had talked about, trying to make sure we got everything in the ballots and all of that. All right, so new business, Mr. Ellington has requested that we take a vote on Sunday voting.
And Madam Chair, just to clarify here, we already, according to the Secretary of State's office, have two mandatory Saturdays. So that's October 19th and October 26th. And so what I'm suggesting is that we also have Sunday voting on the 20th and 27th from 1 to 5. That's the same hours that we did last time. And if you look at our previous track record with Sunday voting, considering that it's been shorter hours, it's really on track for the same hourly demand that we see on Saturdays. And so I think this is valuable in giving our residents an option. And so at this time, I would move that we have Sunday voting on October 20th and October 27th from 1 to 5 p.m.
Any other discussion?
We have a
The motion is.
Then the second then what?
Second. Okay.
So we're proposing to vote Sunday on the 20th and 27th. Early voting starts on the 14th, and tell me again which day it ends.
November first.
Okay, so we're expecting our folks here to work for 3 straight weeks.
Yeah, early voting starts on the 5th.
We had to do it last year, I know.
I think they kind of worked out a system within the office. Did they take another day off?
Is there a way to make it work?
We have absolutely no days off from the 15th through the election.
I mean, I recognize that it's a hardship, but this is also about, ensuring access to the franchise. And, as a board member, I don't think I can step in. I would willingly do so. I understand that this is already a difficult, busy time, but I think we owe it to our citizens to do that.
Okay, so we have some options here that we've exercised before. We've done one Sunday, and we've also limited to one location on Sunday.
Well, that's what it'll be on one location only.
Yeah, that's what we talked about.
It'll only be here.
So I'll just say that I am not in favor of working with people that many days in a row. We talked about making sure the election is accurate, consistent. People get tired with those many days. That's the outcome.
Last year, we had one Sunday, and now the government has said, instead of having one Saturday, you get 2 Saturdays. So we picked up an extra day already. Last year, we had one Sunday voting, and we had a decent turnout. We did, and it was from 1 to 5. And I believe in Sunday voting. And I truly believe it. The problem I'm having is what he brought up, is the 3 weeks that these guys have to work constantly. And so I don't mind having 2 Saturdays and a Sunday. I'm kind of concerned about that last Sunday. And simply because, listen, this election is going to be as difficult as it was 4 years ago, in my opinion, or as passionate, let me put it that I think our staff is kind of overworked a little bit, and there's a lot of stress on everybody. And that's why I'm more in favor of 2 Saturdays and 1 Sunday, which I think is plenty.
Well, I would remind, Madam Chair, everyone that if we are doing one location for basically a half day, that there's surely some rotation of staff that can be done so that we're not working every single person 15 days straight.
Call for a vote. All in favor?
What are we voting
Whoa,
for?
whoa, whoa, wait,
Okay,
let's make it clear.
We're voting for what he proposed was Sunday voting, October 20th and 27th, from 1 to 5.
Here,
Right here,
One
in this
location.
one location, nowhere else. All in favor? Aye. All against?
Aye.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we have 2 days of, 1 day of Sunday voting. I don't care whether it's the 20th or 27th, we'll let the staff decide. And that way we'll have 2 Saturdays and 1 Sunday, which will be more voting days than anybody else in the state, in my opinion, for our voters. And I think it gives our staff a chance to recover a little bit. I mean, they just have to have some time off. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm a big believer in Sunday voting. Y'all know that. And y'all know that. And, but I just, in good conscience, based upon my feelings for our workers, can only go for 1. So that's my motion, is that we have 1, and I don't care whether it's on the 20th or the 27th. I'll leave that up to the staff. But since we have a new 1-day mandatory Saturday, which gives us an extra day already, this Sunday will give us 2 extra days that we didn't have. And so that's my feeling.
So there's a
I
motion.
need a second.
There's a motion and I need a second.
Second.
So, any other discussion?
Madam Chair, I mean, my motion failed, so I know we're not going to go with my preference. But I think it's certainly arguable that we will not have most days of early voting, considering that there are other boards around here that will choose to max out on their possible days. And I regret that we're not going to do that. But I also am a realist and recognize that 1 Sunday is better than none. I would like us to specify which Sunday it is before we leave here, so that there's plenty of time to publicize.
Don't disagree with that. That's why I said I don't care whether it's the 20th. I'll leave that up to these guys or you.
I was gonna request it as well, that when we get this done, we have it, that we vote on something concrete.
Would it be better for you the first week or the second? The second, the 26th?
Okay, so
Now, my motion is revised to call for Sunday voting on the 27th, here from 1 to 5.
All right, so there's a motion on the table to call for Sunday voting, October 27th. Is there a second? All right, so we'll call for a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, no opposed. All right, so that settles it. We will have Sunday voting on Sunday, October the 27th. All right, so, we're down to the other business, and we're gonna have our staff reports at this time from our chief registrar. We're so happy to have you, Chief.
As of September the 19th, 2024, we have active voters, the count of 106,401. 106,401 active. Inactive, we have 10756. That's 10756 inactive.
What is that?
Oh, I'm sorry, you can't hear me, I'm sorry. Active voters, that's 106,401,
106,000.
and I called it out.
I didn't get it.
Okay, so I'm going to inactive now. That's 10756 inactive, 10756. Combined total is 117,401. 157. That's 117-157,
That's our total registered voters.
total registered voters. DDS, I have 768. Online voter registration, I have 1113. And pending voters, I have 274.
Can I ask you a question, ma'am? Did we hear anybody, any response from the postcards we sent out from the, post office box? People we sent card letters to, you remember that? Did I, am I making that up? You don't talk about? The challenge, well, yeah, the challenge.
No.
Never heard from any of them? Okay, I was just curious.
Okay, and now our supervisor, Mr. Goodman.
Few things, looking at the SEB meetings, there have been a few that have been passed with the current SEB, board. And tomorrow morning, there'll be some other, rules proposed. Gazio, Georgia Association of Voter Registrations group will be there to express their opinions on some of those. We will follow whatever laws get, rules get.
No. Don't say laws.
Rules.
Thank you.
Rules.
They're not laws.
Right. The legislature
Thank
gives
you.
us
The
laws.
legislature's on people can make elections.
Right. The legislature gives us laws, we follow those. The SEB gives us rules, and we follow those where they don't disagree with the laws. We have some federal write-in candidates. Those will be made. We'll have plenty of signs for those when early voting starts. And
So before we talk about writing candidates, with the SEB rulings and changes, so I know this is very much a moving target right now, and anything that we are briefed on at the moment could be different because the board's going to meet tomorrow, and there's also litigation. But what I would want to suggest is that we as a board should be prepared to come into a special meeting to be briefed on whatever changes do end up coming into effect. Because we need to know and we need to make sure that Mr. Gillen and the staff are prepared to deal with that, given all the poll workers that are also going to have to make sure are up to date on their obligations.
Mr. Manoli, can I ask you a question in that lane?
Sure.
How can an appointed board pass rulings that seem to be legislatively, the legislator writes our election laws. Every election law is written by the state legislature. How can they pass rules that go against the election law? I'm just trying to figure that out.
Well,
They're an appointed board just like us.
You have to.
They're not government people.
I think you have to start from the standpoint that the state election board has rulemaking authority. There's no question about that. They absolutely have rulemaking authority. Rules made in that vein by them or another agency must be consistent with state law. You're asking me to answer the question that is pending before, that is going to be pending before courts, which I can't necessarily do, but I can tell you this. I can tell you this. Saying that a body that has the authority to make rules can't make rules that are inconsistent with state law, that doesn't mean that when they make such a rule that they believe is consistent, but others believe is inconsistent, that, the authorities drop in from a helicopter and stop them from doing it, right? So there's there are challenges that have to be made. So to answer your question, if you presume that these rules are inconsistent with state law, then they are not proper. That presumption is not for me to make, right? I guess it's the best way to explain.
I was just curious how an appointed board can make decisions about elections that are not made by legislators.
The law gives them rulemaking authority. Now, rulemaking authority is supposed to be supplemental to the law, and it's supposed to be authorized by the law, right? And so you'll see when you look, and I have the report here, if you look, all proposed changes will cite to a code section as the authority for them to be able to make.
Given to them by.
I think what is unique in this instance is that many people disagree that these laws are consistent with, or these rules are consistent.
When was the state election board given this authority to?
Oh, they've always.
They've always had it, okay. That's
In
all.
fact, a lot of what they're doing is amending rules. I think maybe though, I will say this, and maybe what you're referring to, which is the makeup of the board has changed over the years. Who appoints the people to the board has changed, but more recently, I think the makeup of the board has changed upon the replacement of
Be
Edmonds.
the person in charge of elections, the Secretary of State's no longer on the board.
That's correct. Well, that's not my legislation.
Madam Chair, if I might, I will say that even presuming good faith and good intentions, it is awfully late to be expecting poll workers to be adjusting to new rules.
No, I agree with you.
And I will say that to Mr. Elliott's point, there is a case called Purcell that is often used to strike down last minute changes.
Perfect. And I like Mr. Elliott.
You come on top.
Idea of we're going to have to act, we're going to have to act quickly. When we get these new rules, what we.
Agree.
On you.
You're welcome. Secretary of State will also give us
Thank you.
Okay.
guidance.
And so you
Sorry, I
let
didn't
us
mean-
know, no. So you let us know when you get everything, you're ready, and we'll do a call meeting out like that. So we'll just have to have enough time to put it out there. Now, I think you were at notice of certified federal.
We have a few, write-in candidates, that notices for those will be at all the early voting locations and each polling place and send out with each, absentee ballot. There may be a few candidates that, were disqualified, some independent candidates. They were disqualified, and then, a judge says, to hold off on making that official, so we're kind of waiting on that one. Not sure.
Is Kennedy on our ballot?
Kennedy is on the ballot.
Okay, well then,
I'm sorry, I was thinking wrong Kennedy. No, for president,
okay, I was just curious if he was.
we're mainly talking about, Cornell West and, Ms. Dela Cruz. They may or may not be on the ballot as of election day or early voting day. That's the people who vote, not they will decide. You will, be certifying the election just as normal on the 5 o'clock on the Monday following the election. The board will have the right to examine the materials and, make reasonable inquiry, as the rules now say, which there is no there. We had a very nice National Voter Registration Day, Tuesday. We got a few people in that weren't registered before, so that's a plus. And the board now has a brand new shiny new vehicle to replace the old 2009 Escape. It served us well. It was that. Now how he believes it.
All right, is that all? Norm, hold on a second. Norm is our, chief election specialist. Did you have anything that you wanted to share with us today?
Not at this moment, just, we're getting ready for LNA, so that's where my focus is right now.
Okay, and training is going?
Training is happening.
Yeah.
It should be going right now, as you see.
Okay, okay, thank you.
For the folks, the LNA is gonna start when?
It's supposed to start on the 23rd, what we advertised, but we're waiting on us to get the project in, which we expect.
We got that in,
That
about
early?
an hour or so ago.
Okay, so the plan is to start on Monday.
So
Okay.
tomorrow,
Perfect.
tomorrow,
Thank you.
making the, all the materials.
Don't we have to advertise the LNA?
We already.
It's already been advertised.
Yeah.
I just wanted the room
The
here.
rules are here, so we have to-
To the paper and on the website.
Okay.
Okay, okay. Mr. Evans.
Madam Chair, before we move on for Mr. Gill, I have a few questions for him, just on items that we have asked about in the past. So, first of all, I noticed some new signage inside the building, and that's helpful. Do we have any plans for signage outside to direct people to the correct entrance?
We got a nice new banner that will be put outside the Superior Court Annex lobby, directing the elderly and handicapped to be able to vote there.
let's go back to why you're gonna be at the Superior Court Annex.
Sure.
Right? I think that's your next question in
So
mind.
I was gonna leave that with you.
Thank you. So let's move on then.
Spoilers, we will have the use of the Superior Court Annex lobby, available from the, accessible from the outside for elderly and handicapped voters for early voting.
Does everybody know what we're talking about?
The door right by the parking lot.
The
It's
old,
right up here where you can, right.
so the old entrance to the, Sears, outdoor equipment entrance, so.
Now, Tom, William, have we discussed any more, and I may be taking from away from Tom, our ballot box, does it have to stay in here, or can we move it to the Superior?
We decided if it was a voting, location there, it could be there.
Right.
I gave an opinion, I just.
Right.
But this is consistent with this whole mall being one building.
I just want to make sure we're right in doing that, that's all.
I have an opinion that I gave, but what about it's not working for me? I did get it right, I sent it all.
Okay.
I think at least gave it time.
We
I'm not hashed it out.
Yeah, we believe that because it is considered part of the office for early voting, then, and we have.
Can we use that here to say, make sure?
So,
Yeah.
but all the other rules and regs as far as when it's available and that's under video and all that.
That
still
hasn't
applies
changed.
to it.
Yeah, it has to be under video, it has to be pulled back at night, and it has to have somebody watching it. I mean,
Right, yeah. It'll still be inside the lobby.
While it's out.
Yeah, it'll still be inside the lobby, but it will be open when early voting's open and.
the problem I have, and the reason I want it closer, it's just my opinion, is that the mail service is brutal. It's awful right now. I wouldn't mail my ballot in if I was anybody. And it is a terribly long walk for people walking all the way back here just to drop off a ballot. And they're gonna vote anyway. I'm sorry, but why not make it easier for them to drop off the ballot instead of making it variable and difficult? So
Because it is a
that was
long
my
walk,
thought.
so that was one of the concerns, I'm glad we checked that one.
It would eliminate our need to get a dog park.
Madam Chair, I've got a couple other things. One is, so we're talking about one banner outside directing people to the more accessible location. But we've got a pretty large campus here, several entrances.
Right, each entrance will have its own sign.
Will we have one up here in the library? Where the main entrance is?
Yeah, every entrance will have a sign.
Are we talking entrance to the building or entrance to the parking lot?
I want it outside, like he said. Can we, I mean, the mayor said we could have a sign up, so get a sign from there and, I mean, early, and you need to put on one down here. This is for early voting, I mean, for seniors and elderly only, so people like me don't walk all the way down there and get in line and go, well, you're not old enough. You gotta go all the way back in this line. So I just want to make.
That's what the.
Right, well, then we need another banner here, right?
I think we need several around the building, outside, to save people from going in
Correct.
the entrance, all the way back food court and making the long walk longer.
So Commissioner Lucas said she'll get us all the money she needs before she leaves.
We always said.
And I can tell you this, the county has always given us whatever we needed. So you keep the daggone sign, both of them, don't spread and save them.
Yeah, make sure, because I like when we came in, we discussed that, the signage is looking bad.
Yep.
So,
All right, Madam Chair, I've got two more things. I'm sorry for
that's
doing so much here, but one is, of course, we have had an ongoing project to make sure that every voter's combo is correct in the system. Where are we in that process?
We've gotten all the combos themselves are all correct. And that's what the ballot numbers need. Now we're just making sure that this street segment is properly assigned to that, the correct combo.
How long before we can say that we have assigned each voter to the correct combo?
That's always going to be an ongoing process. Anytime somebody moves in and they have a new address, we have.
Right, but in terms of where people are right now.
Right. We're fortunate because we don't have any local districted races. The only one we have is unopposed, so. Right, there won't be any long combos for water authority, school board, commission and such. So.
Right, but if we don't get the problem taken care of, that there will be presumably elections involving those in the future, and we need to be on top of this now.
Our priority has been making sure that the state legislature and US Congress, things are correct.
Well, I would think we could do all of it.
We are gonna do all of it. Just
And I would like, I mean, this may be late in the day for this, but I would like to be able to invite people in from the community to double check after this work is done. I think it's something that would build some confidence, and I think it would be valuable.
Yeah, it's a very difficult process, in case now where to get these combos, going, because the legislators don't know where streets run, they don't know they run stuff through apartment complexes, they just do numbers. So we had to get the Big Penny, whatever the place is up there, the mapping department, they don't just go through it.
Right, and if there's any assistance you need or anything else going forward to make sure that this upcoming election goes forward, please ask, because presumably this board will act favorably on that. This is not the time to try to save a penny. I'm in favor of fiscal responsibility as much as anybody, but I'm more in favor of getting this stuff right. And then one last thing, this is probably technical, but I've had a question about this. So UOCAVA ballots, obviously if they come in by election day and everything's in order and they're ready to be counted. But there's additional time for ballots to come in from overseas, provided that they are postmarked by election day. And so that's a short period, but it exists. How many people do we have handling UOCAVA ballots?
Two of our full-time staff and the other registrars as needed.
Okay. And has there been any briefing on reading the postmarks?
Not yet, they haven't.
What I would ask, this is just part of the refresher, I have full confidence in our staff, but those ballots frequently come in with two postmarks, because there's a postmark from the foreign post office where it's initially mailed, and there's a second post office from where that mail piece enters the US postal system. And the one that UOCAVA refers to for the deadline is the first one, the postmark that's given when that's dropped into the overseas mail system. This may not come up actually many ballots or any, but I want to make sure that we get it right if there are any ballots that might be affected by confusion over the date on the postmark.
Sure.
Aren't they mostly electronic?
They're sent out electronic.
Right.
They can be sent back electronic.
So it has to be a paper. And then we have to take that ballot and make it into one of ours, because the UOCAVA ballot is not the same ballot that we can count. So we have to take these ballots and make them into our ballot. That's why it takes so, that's why it's called conference, because we have to convert it to a ballot that our system can read. But I thought, you're right, I didn't know they were available. They didn't have that problem, man. You didn't have that many.
But I think it's a great thing to be a concern, because we want to make sure we're reading the right postmark and not taking it because it gets back to the United States on November the 7th, 8th. So.
And of course, they'll still have to be here by that Friday.
By Friday.
By
By Friday after the election.
It's pertinent to this.
All right, and Mr. William, legal reports. We're gonna work on those rules.
Right, I'll be following what happens tomorrow, as I know everyone.
It's online, isn't it?
Yes, you can join it virtually.
And how do you join it online if anybody wants to watch the state election board online?
I would go to the state election board website. I get emails, I'm sure most or all of you do, that has the agenda, has the link in the agenda, but you can get your hands on the state election board agenda, which I'm sure is available on the website. Then it comes with a link to join virtually. And you can't speak on it.
You can watch.
No, sure. I just have one other thing before we move on to the public comments, and that is that an offer to have somebody from Postal Service brief us on what they're doing, preparing for the elections come my way. And I would welcome the opportunity to have that happen.
We've done Tom before because our ballots are a certain color.
Right.
And they tell us every year, they keep a real eye watch out in the local hubs. But I agree with you.
Perhaps what we can do is, when we do the column, or
You know, the problem is these daggone our mails now going from here to Atlanta and then coming back.
so maybe we can see if we can get the postmaster at, in front of Washington, library, the her come and brief us on what they're gonna do. Because I too heard something that the color of the envelope, when it comes back, some people think it's spam mail, so it's not treated properly, so we need them to know what they're gonna do.
I would tell you not to mail your ballot.
All right, so now we come back down to public comments. Does anybody have any comments? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, regarding the postmarks, I would love to work with staff regarding foreign postmarks. I have a very personal interest in this because my daughter is in Germany, and the German postmarks have day and month reversed from ours. So if there is, and some of these are kind of weird. So probably, yes, a lot of, so that would be something that staff is aware of. That's going to be a big thing because it's a difference whether it's mailed on the 10th of October or the 11th of November.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I was just looking at the LNA testing, and I just wanted to make sure that the wording is correct, so that there's no confusion, because someone called me today confused. Correct me if I'm not looking at the right thing, but it says, use in the presidential preference primary election to be held on November 5th, 2024. Is it supposed to say general or just presidential?
Just a general.
Okay, I don't know. I guess.
Where did you post
Can we just double, I was looking at the notices online.
I'll go back and double check that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to commend them for putting the signs in the building, because I walk in the hall every day, and I get stopped several times, where's the board of elections? So I came in this week, nobody asked me because they're everywhere. My other thing is, when I come into the hall, and there's a pickleball tournament, I know exactly where it is, because they got signs, I said it's you all.
Yeah.
They have signs, they have signs everywhere for pickleball, you don't get lost when you come to pickleball. But I don't want our people to get lost, stuff get to vote either. So all these entrances, especially the Merchant University, when we come in here, and one on Bloomfield Road, we need to have these signs, I don't know what time, but so people can see where they're going to the board of election, because I won't be out there to tell them this way you go.
We certainly want to thank you for working for us for free. When you.
Yeah, it's me on this stuff.
Yes, it's the next one. I was just curious about the court thing is gonna be for the elderly, and so I would, obviously a lot of advertising for that, because I mean, even if you had signs at the food court, that means they park too far away as it is, so as long as people are aware to go there, period, then
Can we put some more on the website?
that'll help you out a lot. And also, I wanted to ask, we had the numbers for the active voters and the inactive, but do you have access to all the registered voters? As
That's
far
what
as
they
our
are.
eligible voters, I should say eligible ones, the ones that are eligible to vote but are not registered. Do we have access to them? People that, I mean, if they're old, of age, and they're not felons, I mean, we have that kind of information anywhere?
Well, I think we had the 117,000 is all registered.
So we,
No, but it's not
that they can vote that are not registered.
Right.
I mean, unregistered.
So, hold on.
Eligible ones.
Not question and answer period, so, you can talk to them. All right, thank you. Anyone else? Yes,
I
ma'am.
just want to thank you for the information that was shared in the Macon newsroom, especially the information that Mr. Gillen was sharing. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Good job, Tom.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I had, 4 things that I put down. One is, can the statistics that are given be posted as they're being given?
And the one,
You know, with all the electronics, the technology and all of that, there's no point in her sitting over there reading that off and we're
oh, I see.
right, just, post it, so that
Yeah, it'll be
it's
posted.
on, it's clear. And then, or just have a, sheet with the numbers, yes, powerful. But I think that would be, yeah. And then, the second thing, when will sample ballots be available? A lot of people love to get those and, see who's running. They just want to become familiar and comfortable with the name. So when will those be available?
Well, on the website, on that, we have to order.
You get those in the States.
Okay, well, I mean, as long as there's one available somewhere that can be.
You said you got 4:30.
Yeah, the other thing is, has the process for, becoming a deputy registrar, the process where someone can accept voter registration forms from individuals and bring them here to the board of election.
Yes, he doesn't have to do.
After the meeting. Okay, is it it's not a long drawn out process. I know years ago, we could do it, have voter registration drives, accept those registrations and then deliver them, but we did oaths and all kinds of stuff. Is that? Okay, and one other thing that I wanted to make, this board aware of, and I have to say again, how pleased a lot of us are, well, most of us should be, that y'all are working so hard on this and addressing the concerns that we've expressed. The Pedestrian Safety Review Board that I'm a part of has purchased flashing signs, those great big signs that you see on the street. They're yours because your tax money bought them. I do feel like those could be made available to put on each side of, or wherever you feel like they could be used to draw more attention, because this is a new site. People are familiar with the other 2 early voting sites, but that's just an idea. They're available, we place them along the sides of roads where people have complained about speeding, and warn people, slow down, what the speed limit is. They could be used as public information or whatever we want them to be used for. So I would just suggest checking with traffic engineering, and they certainly could make those available for use, or the board might want to purchase some that you would use when you need them, because we'll be having elections, I think, from now. Yeah, okay, but that's it. Thank y'all for letting us have input.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are now adjourned.
How are you? We need one of those. No, you.